Today we will discuss about undefined and null in JavaScript. So here we have certain point like what is undefined and null in JavaScript. As you can see, null indicates it is the intentional absence of the value. Means we when we don't want any value to be stored in a variable, intentionally or explicitly we assign null to a variable. Okay, and undefined means it means the value does not exist at the compiler level. It means when you just define a variable and you do not assign any value, then by default the default value of that variable will be undefined. Whenever a variable will have undefined, it represents that variable itself doesn't exist. However, if a variable has value null, it represents value variable exists but it doesn't have any value. This is what we have the meaning of null and undefined. Then data type of undefined and null. So null has data type object and undefined has data type undefined only. We will see this practically, and then we will also compare that between null and the undefined, and we will see whether both are equal or both are different. So here I have typed the code, okay, and we will execute this code in debug mode so that we can understand what we have, what we are doing here. So I will, in order to execute this in debug mode, first I will clear my screen. Okay, this is the terminal I have opened, and I will use the inspect tool. So node inspect you need to install, then only you will be able to debug like me. Otherwise, you can inspect in Chrome also in debug. You can execute it in debug mode in browser as well. So here, if you want to execute like me, then you will be required to install a node inspect package. So you can say npm install and then node hyphen inspect. Okay, this way you will be able to install node inspect package. Okay, you can see in my case one got updated as I already had this installed. So first of all, you must be installing one package called node inspect that I showed you here. Like this package I'm talking about, node inspect, you install, post which in order to execute this, if you normally want to execute, simply you can type node and then name of the file. Okay, or you, like I have undefined and null demo.js, so I will type a few character and then I will press a tab, so it will auto complete and I can press enter, and you can see I am getting the output of this this file. But I just don't want this to be to check their output. Along with that, I want to execute in debug mode so that we can understand their implementation. Okay, so here I will say node and then inspect, node inspect and then name of the file. So this basically we can see, this command you have to run node inspect and then name of the file you will type. Okay, or few character you type and then press tab, automatically this will complete, post which it says in debug mode it is waiting for us. What you can do now, you go there and type here in the browser Chrome colon double slash inspect slash has devices and hit enter. This way, whatever the file that is waiting for the debug, that will start appearing here. Okay, we might, sometime it takes some time, but now you can see it is coming here, and that is our this file undefined and null demo. This actually I wanted this to be executed in debug mode. All we need to do is just click on inspect, and you will see another window will open here, and here we have the file where we can debug now. So debug will go, you can do with F10 F11, or here button is given, right? This one is for continue, this one is for you can see a step over, or F10. This one is like, this cut control, with the help of this control you can debug. As of now we will use the shortcut F10. So I have defined here variable a, and you can see in this variable we have not initialized any value, and now there itself you can see automatically a was initialized with value undefined. So this is what happens, guys, whenever you just, like you can see the output, we just wrote var a. Okay, and here we are not giving any value to a, and automatically by default undefined was assigned to it. Okay, so this is what basically happens. Then if we want to print it on the console or the value of a, so here whatever you will type in the console log, that will appear in the console tab, and you can see undefined is printed here. Okay, because the value by default, the value, if I just wanted to tell, like, if you are declaring a variable and if you are not assigning any value to it, then by default that variable will have a value undefined. Okay, and that you can see here also, that has been assigned. Okay, then what will be the type of a, since with a the value is undefined, so type also will be undefined only. Like here we are printing type of a, and if you see again it is saying undefined, means undefined itself is a type. If a variable was just in declared but was not initialized, means their value will be undefined, as well as their type will also be undefined. So as of now a has value undefined and it is of type undefined also. Now, what we are doing here, we are initializing the a with null. Still, it is empty. When a was undefined, you can also say ki it also, when the value of a variable is undefined, it also indicates that variable itself doesn't exist. Okay, this is also a meaning of that. Like if if a variable has undefined, it means that variable doesn't exist. However, if you are making a variable value as a null, it means that variable exists, but their value is null, means it is empty. They don't have any value, but the variable is existing. But in undefined case, variable itself doesn't exist. This is the indication of undefined. Okay, so here we have assigned a value of null to a, and now if we are printing a value of a, of course we will get a. So guys, you will get a value of any variable as null when explicitly you will define. Okay, if you will not be defining, you will not be assigning null, in that case default value will be undefined only. However, if you assign it explicitly, then only the value of any variable will be null. Okay, automatically the null will not be the value of a variable. And then in the console log we are printing the value of a. So now you can see the value has been changed to null. Okay, and type of a, since the value got changed, now a has no undefined, so a has the value null. Then null has type. If any variable is assigned to null, it means now their type will no longer be undefined, their type also will be of object type. If we print here, we are printing the type of a. If you see here, so object is getting printed. Okay, so now the a has, means any variable has value null, then they will have value null, and their type will be of type object. However, in case of undefined, type also will be undefined and value also will be undefined. The another thing that we need to keep in mind is, guys, where undefined, here you can see in case of undefined you can use it like a variable name also. Okay, so I have used var, and then undefined I have used it like a variable name, and I can do this, right? I am assigning the value variable value as a string to undefined. Okay, and then if I trying to print, so here I am getting value. It means you can use undefined as a variable name also. However, you will not be able to use null as a name of variable. If you see, if I uncomment this line, immediately you will start getting error. It says, here, null is not allowed as a variable declaration name. However, undefined you can do this. So I hope you are getting me. This is also a small difference between undefined and null. Means undefined can be used as a name of variable, but you cannot use null as a name of a variable. You can see we are getting error for that. Post which, now if you print the console log, so here in this one we are printing the null. Let's see what gets printed. So if you see, after that we have null itself, indicating ki after value, basically the console.log was printed to value. After that, here we are printing the null, so null is getting printed, that you can see. Now we want to understand some other meaning also. Like I told you, if a variable later point of time we initialize it with null, that's why it is showing the value of a as null, which is updated value. Okay, but one more thing that we can prove here, like if a value is assigned to undefined, okay, if a, when a variable will have undefined, when a variable you just declare but you didn't assign any value to it, then by default they will have the value undefined. Okay, and other meaning of undefined is that variable doesn't exist. Okay, this is the meaning of that. However, if a variable has a null, it means that variable exists but they doesn't have any value. Okay, which we are trying to prove here. So you can see we have one variable, we have one array, in fact. Okay, inside that we have a, b, c, and now index third is not existing in this temp, right? We have at zero index we have a, b, c, but we don't. So index of a is 0, index of b is 1, and c is 2, but we don't have any value at index third. It means index third doesn't exist as of now in temp. And if you see in this variable, if we are trying to access the value which is existing at third. Okay, if you are there in any other programming language, you will get exception array index out of bond exception, but in javascript, since that value doesn't exist, it will have value undefined. Okay, so this become undefined and this is also undefined, so it should return true or false. Of course it will return true. You can see here, guys, we have triple equal to. So 2 equal to, if basically comparison can be done with a double equal to as well as a triple equal to. So in case of double equal to, only values of both side will get compared. However, if there is a triple equal to, it means along with comparing the values, it will also compare their type also, like what is the type of data that is being compared. So two things will get compared: value, their value will be compared, as well as their data type also get compared. Okay, so this is what basically happens when we use triple equal to. Okay, so here we have temp 3. Okay, and then we are comparing with undefined, and you can see basically we have initialized their value here. Basically we have initialized undefined to value. Okay, and that's why it is giving the value which will currently give us false. If we initialize it, if we comment this out. Okay, so now undefined still, since it executed. Okay, let me put here. So condition became false, I because this undefined has value. Okay, but what I wanted to tell, I have commented this. In fact, I will cut this, and then I will since this one is creating, we created it as a variable, that's why whatever we expected, that the value of undefined was value that time. So you understood this. So now I will comment this out, and then I will execute again in debug mode. Okay, so I will say control C twice to stop the existing debug mode. Okay, I will in fact here we have, so I can say again node inspect this one. And now if we go, we just need to refresh, and our control again, the file for which we want to execute in debug mode, it will come here, post which we can go ahead and we can trace the code again. So it came. So we'll say here it will open the file, and since we executed till there, so I will quickly go, I will just as far as I remember, I will come here. Okay, I kept the breakpoint, and I don't want this to trace again since we already did. So I will press F8. Okay, and it automatically come here wherever you will put the next breakpoint. Okay, so it came. Now as I was telling, we don't have index third existing in this temp, and we are comparing this with undefined. Earlier we were getting value because we initialized here, but this time we want to actually check whether its value is undefined, only the actual thing of undefined that we wanted to compare. So you can see we don't have any value. In fact, index third itself doesn't exist. Okay, and that's why I told you ki if something has undefined, that also tells us ki which doesn't exist. You can see index third doesn't exist, it means definitely they will have undefined value. So temp at index 3 will be undefined, and this is also undefined. So this time you guess what should happen, it will return true and it will print console log as true. You can see it is printing true. If you see it in the console, so it is true. So this is how we can prove if there is a value called undefined assigned to any variable, it indicates that variable itself doesn't exist. Okay, I keep repeating several times, like if a value is set to null, variable exists, right, but value is nothing or empty. Okay, so this is how you can prove like that. Next, what we are doing, we are trying to understand the meaning of null in context of boolean. Okay, whether its value is true or false. So you see, if it will be, this is a ternary operator I have taken. Okay, so if it will be true, this code will execute, otherwise this message will be printed. So if you see guys, to null, we will check the message what exactly printed, right? If this one will be printed, we can say null has value true. If this one will be printed, we will say null has message false. If you see, it is printing the value of null is false. Okay, means in context of boolean, null is treated as false. Likewise, undefined also we will check, and undefined also have a value false only by default. So you see, the value of undefined is false. So in this context, you will find कि null and undefined both are similar. Okay, in context of defining the name of variable, they are different. You can define undefined as a name of variable, but you cannot do with null. This is the difference. Okay, now we will go further, and here we what we have done guys, we have comparison one. So we are comparing null double equal to undefined, and double equal to indicates that they will just compare their value. Okay, and it will return true or false based on values are equal or not. So null means nothing, undefined also means nothing. Okay, and we just want to compare their value. So it will, both of them will have meaning nothing or empty, you can say. So in this case, comparison one will have value true, right? So you can see it is true. Again, in this context, they are same, but since guys, their types are different, right? This time we are comparing with triple equal to. So in triple equal to, they will compare their value as well as their data type. So when value will be compared, both are nothing or empty, so condition is true. But as long as they will try to compare their type, null has a type object, but undefined has a type undefined itself, means both are not identical. Understand? So comparison 2 will have value false. Okay, now we are just printing the value of comparison 1 and comparison 2. Then you already know the value of null and undefined is false. Okay, so whenever null, any variable or any expression will return null or undefined, both of these will be treated as false. So this block will not be executed. Okay, so this is what we had, this similarity as well as the differences between null and undefined. I hope you understand this. So that's it for today.